Hello everybody, welcome back to the Artisan of Glimmith. 743 is our solve count, and I believe we are ready to go to new regions or something, because we've done gold here, and gold here, and gold here. So we had loopy. There cannot be a point where exactly 3 borders meet. So this is anti-bricky, I think. We can kind of consider this, which is interesting. There was nothing there, and there's difference. Indicates the difference between the areas of regions. So this is a 1. This has to be a 2. This has to be a 3. This is a 2, and then that 1 goes on the end. Alright, we'll start here, because at the very least, I hope I can count. So this has to be a 4, which means this has to be a 5, and that has to be a 3. Okay, counting. It's working so far. Alright, you match you exactly. Can this do this? 2, 3, 2. It could do that. I'm not saying that it does, but... No, it can't. Okay, yeah, because of course it can't. We're learning. It's fine. So this is a 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, this can exist. I just had the math wrong. So you have to be at least a 2. So this can't exist, because then we've got 2 different things on different sides. Right, reset me, because that's probably not how that's resolving, but I just wanted to check that as a possibility. This is going to be 1 bigger than this, which means that's going to be a 2, but that can't exist. How can that be true? Well, that could be that and a 2. Because then this is 1, this is 2. This is the same, this is also 2. Then that's 2. And this would have to be a 3. It would have to go that way. No, it still has to be a 4. 1. 1, 2, 3. 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. This was a little tricky over here. Right, let's get the pen out. Now, this is a 5, which means this has to be part of a 4 or a 6. And this has to be part of that 5, which that can't be because that line can't cross over. This has to be part of a 3 or a 7. This can't come to here, I believe, because that would make this have to be part of a different 3 or a 7, but that's blocked in by that. So that means this line must exist. And that's how the 5 is going to occur. That means this 4, 6 is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Can't be 6. So it's going to be a 4. That makes you a 1 with a 4 growing out of you. 2 difference from a 4. 2 difference from a 4. is going to be a 2 or a 6. This is one difference from a 5, so this is going to be a 6. So that makes this a 6. Are you tired of me talking the numbers over and over again? That's going to have to do that. And 4, 5, 6, 3, and 1. Alright, there might be a lot of talking to get there, but we are getting there. This 4 is going to be matched by a 2 or a 6. It can't be the 6 because the 6 can't exist there. So this is a 2, and it looks like that. Then this has to be part of a 5. I wish instead of difference it was called plus or minus, because the language of plus or minus instead of difference just works in my brain, because it's 3, it's 2 plus or minus 3. Well, we can't do minus 3, so it's just 5. And then this is going to be a 5, which means this 4 is probably this, but it could be that. But this 5 has to come out. This 5 has to come out. 5 plus or minus 2 is 3. Yes. There's that. Just some light sight reading there. Okay. These are all at least part of the 4. That makes this 4 plus or minus 1 is a 3, 5. And makes this a 3, 5. And if we look at this 2, then one of them is a 3 and one of them is a 5. We just have to try and figure out which one that might be. Well, if this was the 3, this could be a 2 or a 4. Where's the logic going to be? Well, if this was the 4, then this would also be a 3 or a 5, and we can't count 3, 5 across a 1. So I believe that makes that the 4. So that's a 1, which makes that a 2. 2 then grows this to a 3, because 2 plus 1 is 3. That makes this the 5. And we go 5, 3, 1. Oh, that looks like a lot of fun. Well, obviously. No, the thing that I was about to say is definitely not the thing at all. I was looking at this 4 and going, okay, well, it can't be a 5 like this because of the rule, so that must be a 4. But that's not how that goes at all. It's counting upwards in sizes. And this is different by 4. Plus or minus 4. But the largest a piece can be would be this, which is 4. Because it can't do that. So none of that can work. Unless we're going to have to start with something like this. That's 5. That's 3. Then that would have to be 6 or 0. How do we do this? What am I missing? This is a mirror image of this. We can't do 4 and 2. We can do 3 and 2 with 1 like that. Then 2 and 2 is 4. 4 and 3 is 1. 1 and 4 would be 5. But we can use small numbers in the middles, which I kind of hadn't internalized. So what is the any way that we can make 4 work here? Because like 5 minus 4 is 1. And 5 minus 3 is 2. 2 plus 2 is 4. 4 minus 1 is 3. That's the same. 3 minus 1 is 2. And we have to put a little block on the end. Okay. It's interesting if we... oh, we've opened up the realm. That's why there's one down here. We just look at some of these puzzles. There's like the one odd one. Not in there. That has lots of singles. That had one odd one. Not in there. That had an odd single one. That had an odd single one. I don't know if that's just a quirk or just a coincidence. We need 8 more to restore the window. All right, well, let's do you. This has to be part of a 2. 1 plus 1 is 2. 1 plus 1 is 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. So that's going to have to go like that. Then this is 1 plus 2 is 3. And 2 plus 2 is 4. 3 minus 1 is 2. 3 plus 2 is 5. 5 minus 2 is not... Wait. Three minus 2 could be 1. 2 minus 1 is 1. 2 plus 2 is 4, and that's the odd one? Okay. There's these two on their lonesome up here. Sure. Shape bank. Okay. Well, which side of these lines do we have to start on? Well, okay, what we know is whatever we have, if this is a 1, 1 plus 2 is going to be 3. Our only 3 is going to be this, or this. If this is 2, 2 plus 2 is 4, which is this. And that would also be valid. 1 plus 3 is 4. 2 plus 3 is 5. We can't make 5. So 1 plus 3 is 4. Lock those in. That then gives us kind of a matter of limited geography on the rest of our solve. If this is 1, this is 3. If this is 2, this is 4, and it doesn't fit. So lock those in. Then this can be 2 and 4. 1 and 1 and 1. Nice. Oh boy. It's only a 3. Just looks really big. But we have a shape bank of 2, 3, and 4. So we should be able to shape bank this out reasonably easily. This 0 has to be that, because we can't fit any other shapes on both sides of that line. A 2 plus or minus 1 is a 3, and only a 3, which would have to be this. Which means that also has to be this. That could be that or that. And I can't tell which right now. Come down here. This is a 2. 3 plus or minus 2 is 1 or 5, which we don't have. So that goes to there. 2 plus 2 is 4. So we have to get 4 into here. That obviously fits nicely. But this or this would also be possible, except this can't do that. This would then go 1, which doesn't exist. Okay. So we'll stick that in like that. Then that's going to be a 2. And probably a 2. Because it can't be a 4. Because the 0 can't span a 4. To fill out this gap, it would have to be 2 here. And then we need a 4. But 4 and 1 makes 3. Oh, 4 and 1 can make 3. That is allowed. Then 1 on either side of these has to be a 2 and a 3 or a 3 and a 4. There's a 2. 2 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 2. Lovely. I've said all of the numbers so many times, it feels like they aren't words anymore. A 1 and a 2 and a 2 and a 4 and a 2 and a 1 and a 1 and a 2. 4, 5, 3, 4, 7. So, somewhere, if this is a 7, we have to have a 1 and an 8 in one of the two configurations, either that or this. 8 minus 3 is 5, which doesn't fit there. So I think it's going to be this. 8 minus 5 is 3. Eight minus 4 is 4. Can this work? Four plus or minus 3 is 1 or 7. 1 plus 4 is 5. There you go. Okay. Getting it. Gosh, it goes on for ages, doesn't it? There's one hiding back there. It's available. I'm not doing that right now. We'll get there slowly as we work our way across the map. Okay, regions of range 2-4. All regions must have different shapes and difference. All regions must have different shapes, which means we're basically just working with 2. We're working with 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, 4. Is there another 4? Without flipping or rotating, I'm forgetting. Oh. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. 24 plus 4 makes 28. Okay. Interesting. Now, what do we know about this? We're going to have something going on here. And then a +1 of it here, or a -1, and a +1 or a 1 of it there. But then we also have to have 2 copies of it. If we're going to have 2 copies of something, then what goes inside this box has to be a 4. Because if it were a 3, we can't have 2 different 3s and have mismatch be accounted for. So that tells us how we start by sticking a 4 in there. Then this is 4 ± -1 is 3, which is going to have to be that. And 4 ± -1 is 3, which would have to be this. Which means that's a 4. So we can go... we've used this 3 and this 3. This 4 and this 4. Now we just have to get a 2 and the remaining other pieces in here. That can't do that and leave 1. Can't be that because that's the same. So I think this might have to be the 2. Because there's no other piece we have that can fill this gap. Which puts that there, and the long piece. Lovely. What a lovely puzzle. Okay. There's less going on over here. Gosh, a 6 open to us already. How about no? Range 3 to 5. Difference of 2. This is 12. How can we make 12 with a number and 2 numbers of 2 different than that? 5 and 3 and 3 makes 11. 4 and 6 and 6 is too much. How do I math this math? Range of 3 or 5. We do 3 here, 5 there, and then this can be a 4. It was the sharing that I wasn't considering in my initial assessment. Range of 3s and 4s, but so many shared corners is intriguing. It's like, whatever this is, we get our notes here. If we think about polarity, if this is an A, this has to be a B, this has to be a B, this has to be an A. The A, however big it might be, has to go A at least, because we're working with 3s to 4s. That means this B is going to have to come up to at least here. And that B is going to have to cross over to be an A. And up here, this is going to have to be an A. And then that's going to have to be a B. This B is going to have to come out to here and at least there. It's going to be at least 3. If this is AA, that's going to have to go to A to get out to be at least 3, which means this is a B, which means this can't be an A because it would be on its own. So this has to be a B, but if it's 3s or 4s, it's going to have to be at least a second version of it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 would be 2 3s, or it might be bigger than this. This is BB. That's going to have to be a B, at least, to make that at least 3 big. And then I'm starting to think that this might be... That's going to be 3, which means that's 4. That's 3. That's 4. Then that's 3. We got there. Just from the polarity of all the ones that we had. I don't know if it's just because either we're working with the easier end of the puzzles, or my brain is gelling with the concept very well, or if these are just some particularly good puzzles. But I feel like this area has been some of the best puzzles in the game so far for like how you go about solving them, and some of the best puzzle solving I've done in how I go about executing the solutions with the knowledge that I have. Right, 2 to 5 is quite a range, but we have 3, 3, 2. So if this is X, X has to be at least a range of 2, which means this has to be at least a range of 3 because this can't be on its own. So this is at least 3. 3 minus 2 is 1, which can't exist. So it would be 3 plus 2 could be 5. But if this were 4, then 4 minus 2 could be 3. Or 5 minus 2 could be 4, which ultimately is not terribly helpful. But whatever this is, this has to equal X. Now, this pattern of 3 X's in a confined space has to exist over here as well, because we can't have something cut off and leave a 1. So we know this must be at least 3. And 3 plus 3 is 6, which can't be, so this must be at least 4. And 4 minus 3 can't exist. So this has to be a 5? Let me just check that in my head again. We know that these must exist together. This is 3. 3 and 3 is 6. Can't exist. That makes that have to be true. 4 and 3 is 7 or 1, which doesn't exist. That can't go to there. That can't go to there, so that's going to come out. That's X. Oh. So that must exist like this. Which means if that's 5 and we've locked that in, this must be 4, 4, 4, and 4, because they can't share a border wall. This could be 5 or 3. This could be 5 or 3. 3 and 3 can't make 6. So this has to be I was going to say 5 minus 3 making 2, but I can't have a 2 to 2 making a... I can. Hold on. This was 4. 4 minus 2 is 2. Get rid of these because they're confusing me. 2 plus 3 is 5. 4 and 0 is 4. 5 and 3 is 2. Nice. And that is our difference window created almost exactly on the half-hour mark. So I'm going to quit while I'm ahead here before my brain goes into complete meltdown. But I really enjoyed these. These were really well put together puzzles, and I look forward to seeing how they integrate with more mechanics next time. For now, thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.